What do you think of that new intro?
I love it. Is that your piece?
Yeah, that's my music, and
Excellent.
that is a homespun video example. So,
I love it. I love
yeah,
it.
made that sucker in Canva for free. So,
Nice.
yeah,
The game is stepping up here.
dude, we're yeah, we're up in the production quality here at
I
the
love it.
Pat Flynn
I love
Show.
it. I
So,
love it. Yeah.
yeah, gentle listeners, thanks for tuning in. We are live streaming. We are going to talk about mixed modality training. And because Jim and I like playing with lots of different toys. So we're going to explore that in today's little broadcast. So pop in, say hello. If you're on YouTube or Facebook, please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And if you're on iTunes, subscribe, rank the show. Got to begin with our daily petitions, right, Jim?
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah. Let us know what you're drinking. What do you have in my
Me?
coffee? I just got sad because I looked in my cup and it's all gone. So
My gosh,
Mhm.
I don't know if I could do it. So I just have a cup of black coffee going
Mhm.
in the mug my son gave me.
Awesome.
Yes. So
Yeah, proper.
definitely,
Very good.
definitely. Yeah.
So you were I couldn't do this episode without you because you were somebody who probably uses a lot more different toys in the gym than I do.
Yeah.
I do train mixed modality often. So
Yeah.
real quick, when I say mixed modality, I just mean we're using like more than one toy in the gym. And I use the word toy because I think exercise is just adult play, properly understood.
Yeah. Spiel in the German sense.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's spiel in German has this connotation of something you do for its own sake.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
spiel. I love it.
Spiel,
So,
yeah.
all right. So talk to me. I'm going to let you open this one up.
Sure.
What are the different toys that you're using, and what do you think the benefits are of mixed modality training, and why do you do it? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so when we're talking mixed mode, you mean using multiple toys within the same workout, within the same program? Yeah. Okay. Because I think there's all sorts of levels we could look at this. Like, so there's mixed mode, like classic tactical barbell stuff, where you're going to have 6 weeks where you work on nothing but endurance and mainly calisthenics, no barbells, right? Anything else. And then you have others, other phases where it's heavy barbells, very little endurance work, stuff like that. So you could talk about that's still mixed mode because you have different seasons of things you're doing.
Totally.
Right. You could also talk about mixed mode. I have a day a week that's my kettlebell day. I have a day a week that's my club day. I have a day a week that's my jogging day, or what have you, right? Yeah. Or within the same thing, right? Okay. And maybe we'll circle to that, but I'll say about all of it. One of the things I like about mixed mode training, right, having multiple toys, is it's a way that I feel guards me against overuse problems.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Okay. So if I just go totally barbell, right, that adds up. If I just go totally kettlebell, that adds up. If I just go totally mace, that adds up. So I think one of the primary virtues of it is it requires me to have lots of things I'm involved in, so I don't go too far with any one thing. Mm-hmm. And whether you mix it up by saying I'm going to go a month of nothing but something and then not touch it for a month, that's one way to do it, or down to the minutia where I'm going to alternate sets of Turkish get-ups and club swings, right? Either way, I'm not overdoing any one thing. And I like that a lot.
Yeah, I like those distinctions, right? So the first one is kind of it's a theme we talked about before, short-term specialization. All right, I'm going to have a season of barbell. I'm going to have a season of clubs. I'm going to have, and that's cool. There's a lot of benefit to that. I think that's worth an approach worth considering. Yeah. Then there's the sort of the weekly cycle, and I would say that's kind of where I've been at generally for a long time. Is like, okay, today is going to be a kettlebell day. Mostly, I have mixed mode, even intra workouts as well. Today is going to be a body weight day. I'm going to do sprints and stuff like that. Yeah. Today is going to be a barbell day or something like that. So that's kind of where I've been generally, probably for the past couple of years, and I've always gravitated towards that. That just seems to just feel good and right to me. But then there's the just within the workout itself, we've just, I'm going to do a set of clubs. I'm going to do a set of bells. I'm going to do a set of sandbag. People are into that, barbells. So let's explore that a little bit. Yeah. Where are you at right now?
So first, a workout I did, what was it? Saturday. Yeah. I just, I did what I call my Turkish get-up medley, where I start with my lightest kettlebell, and I do 2 rounds of 1 rep on each arm with that kettlebell. And then I work up to the next Then I take my next lightest kettlebell or next heavier kettlebell,
Yeah.
do the same thing all the way up until I get as far as I feel like I can get that day with just, absolute technical perfection. Okay.
Yeah. So you're auto regulating.
Yeah. Auto regulating. Yeah. But then in between those, so I think of that as that gets pretty heavy and grindy, towards, the last couple levels,
Totally.
I'm up to my 40 kg there. Right. If things get, really frisky, I might do some with the beast. Right. But in between, on Saturday, for instance, I did one arm, club swings with a 20-pound club. Okay. Which is lightish for me on a club. But so I'm doing two very different things there. I'm trying to get, really strong AF with those get ups. Okay. But I'm interspersing it with what is essentially a mobility restoration movement. Right.
Sure.
So there's a lot of modes I'm mixing there. I'm mixing the implements. Okay. But I'm also mixing the attribute I'm trying to hit, and
right.
I'm mixing the part of my body that I'm working, right? So, I don't get any rotational stuff over my head with the Turkish get up, which for a grappler, I think is really important, to get rotational stuff going over your head. And so the club adds that. So like that, and that's just, it's minimalist. It's 2 exercises, not very complicated in the scheming for it, but it mixed, strength with mobility. It mixed, grind with, rotation and all that. Right. And that's a very typical mixed mode workout for me. It's really a very typical kind of workout that I've been doing lately too.
Just like a 2 exercise.
2 exercise.
Yeah.
Pairing. Yep.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I love the get up medley because that's something that's like the warm up there can certainly be the workout for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I like that combination, that pairing a lot as well. Yeah. And I want to emphasize also part of the reason that mixed modality training makes sense is that some tools are just better situated for some jobs than others. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Like the kettlebell is a great generalist tool. It can do a lot of stuff really well. But there's some tools that I think are worth having, even if they just have like kind of one really good function and that's it. Yeah. The ab wheel. Right.
The ab wheel.
Like it's like $10. What do you do with an ab wheel? Well, you do the ab wheel, and that's it. Yeah. And like don't even try and do anything else with it. I've seen people try and get just understand that you just spent $10 to do this one thing. Yeah. And that's it. Right. But I think that's one thing worth having. So like that for me, I guess in that sense, I guess I'm even more mixed modality because if I can squeeze in an ab wheel, I'm almost always going to do it. Right. So it's anything plus ab wheel. Right. Because I think it's just such a bang for your buck core exercise. It really is. Yeah.
And if you can do standing ab rollouts on a flat surface with no incline or anything, you're strong.
Yeah. You're damn strong at that point.
I don't particularly want to fight you. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, some tools are good for a lot of different jobs. Some tools are good for just a few jobs, and some tools are good for like one thing and one thing only. Yeah. But especially if the tool is like relatively look, I wouldn't pay $5,000 to just do one thing unless I don't know, unless it was from the future or something, and like it was put that aside. That's fantasy world.
Yeah, but
I'll pay I'll pay $10 to have something that can do one thing really well, and I'll put that into my training.
And the thing here's another, I think, very important virtue of the ab wheel, maybe more on a existential level. It's the one, as seen on TV, infomercial fitness item that is actually good.
Legit.
It's like
but you don't need to buy that one. Seriously, just go to Amazon and go to Amazon. $10 to $12 for a decent ab wheel. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Stevie says the dynamic duo.
I like it. Yeah. But and also, okay, so you make the point about like with mixed modes, like some of those modes are going to be very narrow in how, and what you can do with them. But the narrow thing they hit is so important, and it's so effective at that. Like the ab wheel, you should have that, right?
Yeah.
I have a similar view about clubs. I would never say clubs should be your only implement. Okay. Just using clubs as an example. Let's say the same about maces. Okay.
Yeah, this is good. Let's just go through the list of equipment and say, here's the killer app for it, to use some Dan John terms.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I would never say, if I only got one thing, I'm on the desert island, is the one thing I would take my 25-pound quad-faced mace? No, it would not be. Right. Okay. Mm-hmm. It'd be the 28 kilogram kettlebell. Right.
Yeah.
But for what I do, what I do with jiu-jitsu, I think maces and clubs are hell of important. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think they also have virtues in that I'm really into now, like getting by with max contraction with the least load, just from
Right
a
on.
like a longevity thing and saving adrenaline for other things and all that. And man, I can with my man, you start doing 10-2 swings with a 45-pound club. There is contraction going on. There's a lot
Mhm.
of contraction going on, but it's not that heavy. It's not loading my back all that much, et cetera, et cetera. Okay.
Right. Mhm.
Okay, so I think you might, when you start thinking like what items are most essential, well, for whom, right? Where are you in your training life, right?
Mhm.
And what are the things you're actually training for? Okay. That being said, though, I think your most essential toy, I think, is going to be the kettlebell. Like you can
Yeah.
get the most out of it.
Yeah, for a minimalist perspective. So if we
Kettlebell
talk,
or the
yeah,
barbell. Yeah.
yeah, if we talk about like killer apps, say you've got the kind of the full gym access, right? And so like equipment isn't an issue. Where should you assign the equipment in your mixed modality training?
Yeah.
I would say, again, depending on the person, if you, like for deadlifts, yeah, barbell. We want the barbell in
Yep.
there, I think. For overhead pressing, I think kettlebell is going to be just well suited. I don't think most people are going to outgrow kettlebells when it comes to overhead pressing, and I think it's just really well suited for that. Complexes, metabolic conditioning, I think kettlebells are the killer app there. Abs, let's get the ab wheel for the if you're a grappler, sure, throw the clubs in there. I actually like dumbbells for non-overhead pressing.
Yeah.
Um,
I've been getting into this floor press, bridge press thing with dumbbells or kettlebells.
Right. I like slight incline dumbbell presses. Those that's what makes the pecs all nice and meaty, right? Well, actually, it's mostly dips that do that, right? So, as we know, I'm a big fan of dips. So, I mean, like, yeah, what does my training consist of? I do use dumbbells. Kettlebells are probably my primary instrument, but with kettlebells, I'm usually doing swings and presses, which I think are killer apps of the kettlebells.
Yeah.
Deadlift, I'm using barbell. That's pretty much the only thing I do with barbell these days is deadlift. Squats, I'm using kettlebells, front squats. Other pressing variations, I'm using dumbbells or body weight. And then pulling, I'm mostly doing body weight, and occasionally I'll use dumbbells or kettlebells for the horizontal rows. So that's and then ab wheel. So whatever, what is that? 6 or 7 things, I guess, 6 or 7 toys I'm playing around with. But I'm trying to assign each one to where I think it's going to I'm going to get the most utility out of it, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's see, my toys. I'm doing swings, snatches, presses with kettlebells, right?
Right.
Doing tons and tons of overhead rotational work, both with maces and with clubs with various levels, right? And I'm calisthenics wise, I'm doing weighted pull-ups, right, and regular pull-ups, right? Because that for me, that's the best way to pull, right?
I agree.
And also as far.
Hold on, you got muted there, Jim.
You got me?
I got you. You're back. Okay. Mm-hmm.
No, I can't hear you, Pat.
Oh, no. Gentle listeners, can you hear me? If the audience can hear me, do me a favor and do you can do it if you want, or just comment.
What are you doing there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Thumbs up, but you can't hear me. So, Okay, Sherri can hear me. David, okay. So the audience can hear me, Jim. It's Jim's fault. It's Jim's fault.
Let me try this.
They can hear.
Is that doing anything?
Yeah, no, I think you just let's see. Okay, so audience can hear both of us, but only I can hear both of us. Jim can't hear me. Thanks for being patient with us, gentle listeners. We'll try and figure this out. Jim, maybe now I got to figure out a way to communicate with Jim. Maybe leave and rejoin. Don't you love the tech stuff? Just when it was getting good. All right, yeah, so Jim's going to peace. He'll come back. All right. So to recap what I was saying, I could in terms of mixed modality, I could probably replace most, if not everything I'm doing with kettlebells. But the way I see it, if you have the stuff available and it makes sense to use it, then put it in. Can you hear me now?
You now. Sorry about that.
Yeah, good. Yeah, no worries. We've got such patient and gentle listeners.
Yeah,
it's never an issue. Okay,
I mean,
glad to have you back.
If we're going to step the game up at the Pat Flynn Show, they have to be patient as we.
That's right. That's right. Okay, so I was just saying, as you were gone, that I could probably replace most, if not everything, of what I'm doing with just like kettlebell exclusive. But I have this stuff available, so I might as well assign the best tool for the particular job.
I mean, I could do halos with a kettlebell and get much out of it and stuff like that. Right? Yeah, what I was saying about the calisthenics thing is I don't like, for me, a lot of calisthenics are, sit throughs and mountain climbers into like twisting reaches. It's almost like a dynamic yoga thing. So for me, calisthenics are more about mobility than they are anything like strength and endurance.
Right on.
Yeah.
So for body weight stuff, I forgot push-ups. I do a ton of push-ups, but that's just like push-ups is like breathing air. Like you just you just do push-ups all the time. Right. Sprints, I think, are a killer app. I guess I would classify that as body weight. So now that the weather is getting nicer, we're going to be doing a lot more hill sprints here.
Yes.
So to me, all of this is minimalist, right? Because the minimalist is like looking for effectiveness and efficiency, that cross section of doing the right things and doing things right. So if you have this stuff available, then it becomes a minimalist exercise to try and assign the best tool for any particular job, given the goals that you have, right?
And and I don't want to counsel, random acts of variety from, from the old day fame there. But the fact that, I can say, I just kind of feel like doing clubs today, right? Or I just kind of feel like doing maces today, or I just kind of feel like doing, there's nothing wrong with that. And I think having those options are there, right? Is really good. It's really good. Yeah.
We have a question. Sherri wants to know, do either of you use the Bulgarian bag?
I don't know what a Bulgarian bag is.
I used to have one of those at the gym, and to be quite frank, it was fun, but it never became a consistent tool of mine. Like, it was cool, it was interesting, but it never felt like this definitely is a thing I need to be using for this exercise. So I'm not saying it's useless. It just never rose to the status of being a killer app, if that makes sense.
Sure.
And I would say that of sandbags in general. Cool, useful if you enjoy them. I have no issue with that. I mean, it's kind of fun to do like the shoulder squats and the kind of Zercher squat. I think they work well for Zercher squats, certainly, because it's a little less rough on the elbows than certainly a barbell is. So I like them, but I just never found that they were like the tool I had to use for any particular exercise.
I've been tempted by sandbags, because it has a grappler, grabbing it and stuff and picking it up. But I've also felt like, I don't know, I could just probably get the same by drilling takedowns with people, and so you generally, for an implement, I'm looking for something that is helpful, but I'm not getting it from what's on the mat.
Cindy asked, do either of you use a suspension trainer like Dan? So Dan, I'm borrowing the language killer app from Dan, and Dan would say the killer app of suspension trainer for him is the horizontal row. It just really fills that gap very well. I don't use suspension trainers, but I use something that I think is even better, cheaper, and that is I totally forgot this. It's the gymnastics rings. So those to me are I don't see why you wouldn't want to have those, because you can get a good set of gymnastics rings for like $20-$30, the wooden ones, which is all you need. You can do dips, you can do pull-ups, you can do rows. You could do pretty much what you would want to use with a suspension trainer plus more with the gymnastics ring. So that's my but by all means, if you want to have a good thing for rows, I think the suspension trainer is a fine option.
I have a set of rings in my outdoor pull-up bar, and occasionally I'll get on a jig where I feel like I've just neglected the row because of all the overhead pulling I'm doing. And I'll just start throwing, good 20 body weight rows at the end of every workout on those rings. And I always find that pretty refreshing.
Yeah, I agree. The high rep rows or even face pulls are really refreshing, to be sure. I love the rings, especially as the weather gets nicer, because I'll just take them in like a 28 to the park, throw the rings over a tree branch, swings and dips. I love my swings and dips. Swings and dips.
My 12-year-old son, Jack, is greasing the groove right now on L-sit dips on the rings.
Yeah. Good hit stuff.
Good hits.
Yeah. Callum wants to know, anybody know how I get in touch with Father Pine? Father Gregory Pine. Father Gregory, are you there? I'll actually be, interesting enough, I'll be doing a philosophy episode with Father Gregory tomorrow. So stay tuned, because we'll be right here in this channel and you can reach out. But email me, Callum. I can probably get you in touch. Thomas wants to know, heavy sandbags, 40 kilogram plus, are great for carrying and strongman like training. I don't doubt you on
I
that.
don't doubt it at all. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I had this old Navy sea bag that I had full, not all the way. It was like half full of sand. I think that thing, it was heavy. It was like 180 pounds. I used to carry that around the block, right?
Right.
And that was about all it took for the day, right there. You know?
Yeah, carrying any type of odd, awkward things is useful. I mean, maybe it would be helpful to just go through the kind of the Dan John categories of push, pull, hinge, squat, loaded, carry.
Yeah.
And if we're going to do mixed modality, what would you assign to all that? So why don't you go first, Jim? Push, pull, hinge, squat, carry, and twist if you want to throw that in there too.
Yeah, exactly. For push, you know, I like kettlebell press for that, right? And as more of an accessory sort of thing, you know, that kind of bridge press, double dumbbell, double kettlebell press from there. Pull, I'm a pull-up guy, right?
Yeah.
Weighted, if we can get that. Squat, what's the next one, right? For that, I'll do double kettlebell front squats, or I will do you know, a sort of a swing into a squat with my heaviest mace, right?
Yeah.
Or a you know, a shield squat with a heavy mace, right? Okay. The hinge, right? Kettlebell swing or kettlebell snatch, right? And carrying, I'll admit, I don't carry enough, right? When I do carry, I like offset carrying with a heavy kettlebell.
Yeah. You know, Dan John sometimes throws the Turkish get up under the carry category. So you do a lot of that. So
I do a lot of that. Yeah. I don't really know how to like characterize the Turkish get up, right?
Yeah, I think that it's just like this anomaly. So I think that's why Dan throws it under the carry.
Which you get almost all of that with the get up. Right?
Yeah. So what would I do? I would swap presses with dips, just out as a matter of personal preference, mostly. I would stay with you on the pulls. Weighted chins pulls are the go-to for me, preferably on the rings. I would do kettlebell front squats for the front squat. I would do keep swings for the hinge, and then Turkish get up. I think if we can count that as a carry, we do it. So what would I need there? Just kettlebells, rings, and body weight. That would be my mixed modality kind of minimalist setup. You'd need a club, but then you'd be set, right?
Yeah, exactly. You know, and the way the way I work with clubs and maces is rarely are they my main event. Okay, right? They're always just something I'm working on. You know, like I'll go my main event, you know, like for instance today was Turkish get-ups and weighted pull-ups, right? Boom, 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 right? But then I got done, you know, just worked on various skills with a heavy mace, right? Which has great carryover to you know, stuff I want, right? But also I just like play with the implement.
Just like it, And there's nothing, like, look, we're not giving like, this is how you guys must do this, right? Like I put in dips there because I just really like dips. Like that.
And you know, I've looked at a lot of different ways of programming clubs and maces. Okay, you know, and I just find when you start boiling that down to sets and reps, it gets kind of silly, right? You should like, I mean, because it's such a high skill acquisition thing. And something, and also just something about the spirit of it, the idea that, you know, you're going to like go out and swing a battle axe for 10 by 10 just seems to like miss the point of it.
Misses the spirit of true physical Mortal Kombat, right?
Yeah. You know, and so I really do train those implements much like a martial art, right? I just go out and I play with it. I'm basically drilling with it. There's kind of skills I'm trying to link together with it, right?
I like that.
Yeah. And so, and I've just kind of because I kind of would like to be able to like provide people with more programming for this, right? But I do find that the programming for those particular implements gets a little silly, and you really should just go out.
It evades those types of arbitrary. I don't want to say arbitrary restrictions, but it evades that type of boundedness, right?
Like if I'm trying to get it good at a Kimura in jiu-jitsu, well, what kinds of sets and reps should I use, you know, to get better at it? You should drill it till you should
just practice till you're good at it. Yeah, and like you can say that for a lot of different exercises. I mean, I do that a lot for the stuff on the rings. Like I'm just going to practice dips and I'm going to do it at a tempo where I feel like I can make this look beautiful. And then I stop when I feel like it doesn't look beautiful anymore. And depending on the day, the weather conditions, because as you're older, apparently that affects your performance, right?
It does. Yeah.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, like, oh, it's a little foggy today, and
Yeah.
joints kind of hurt,
I
right?
think it's going to rain a little later in my shoulders.
Right. It's like, sometimes I might be able to crank out like an infinite number. Other days, like, nah, 5 is good, right? So it's just kind of there's sort of, I think that's just something that comes along with I notice, like, people who've just been in the game a while, that's just kind of a common theme. Like, you just you move away from the quantitative to the qualitative when it comes to training.
Something like a kettlebell press, that's got a lot of neurological grindy recruitment to it. I think you have to have, if you're going to have a spirit of play with it, you got to have a top level. Like, I won't do any more than this many, because you're going to fry your nervous system and be useless for 2 weeks.
Yeah, have a ceiling at least.
Yeah. But I don't think you're going to fry your nervous system swinging a 20-pound club.
Yeah, I agree. Cindy says, yes, I do all that, but with a dual anchor system. I think she's talking back to the suspension trainer. Good for pull-ups, to L-sit pull-ups, to rock bottom rows. So I mean, there's a lot of different suspension trainers out there nowadays. I mean, I still always think of like TRX, right? But I understand that there's pulley systems and lots of different attachments. And
okay, and this is for me. I have a suspension system and that I picked up. I really liked it a lot, but kind of just the way my garage is, the setup for it is just, it's a pain in the ass. I've never been able to like really figure out where I don't burn half my workout time trying to get the thing set up right. It could be the brand I bought too. Right. So for me, I'll admit, like, one of the reasons I'm not so into suspension systems is just that purely contingent, right? With the way things worked out in my garage.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, good questions, everyone. Keep them coming. We'll field them as we go here. If, again, just some petitions. If you're on Facebook, please share this video. We got the new streaming software here, so we're going to be in your face a lot more often. And we love the live interaction. If you're on YouTube, please comment, subscribe. If you're on iTunes, you don't get to see the beautiful Irish mugs here, but
exactly.
Yeah, please subscribe and rank the show as well. We appreciate it. So, Jim, as we take some more questions here, I would like to also explore the idea of the kind of mixed modalities in terms of like the seasonal approach. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I use for instance, seasonally, I'm not doing a whole lot of sprints in the winter except on my Airdyne, right? Okay. I'm going to use clubs and maces less in the winter because my garage isn't heated. It's very cold, right? And I'm not going to swing a heavy club in my kitchen for fear of wrecking my floor, right? And so, so for instance, for me, clubs and maces are a little more of a summertime, spring, not the coldest time of year phenomenon, right? Whereas kettlebells tend to be more of a winter thing for me, right?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah.
Like literally training with the seasons.
Yes. Yeah. Literally. Yeah. So I think it's one of the virtues of training outdoors is your training is sensitive to the weather. It's sensitive to the seasons and things like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know. I'm the same way. I also think that some seasons certainly present an invitation for more intensity as well than other seasons. Yeah. Right.
And I've seen some smart people, and most recently Mark Sisson, talk about the value of seasonal eating, right? That it seems like we're preparing ourselves constantly for a winter that never happens, which might have some consequences for us, right? So eating out in the cold, doing different things, getting yourself hooked into the seasonality of just human life, I think is important.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take a question. This one comes from David. I'm a 12-year kettlebell trainer gym owner, but this past year I've gotten into barbell work as well. My deadlift is significantly ahead of my squat. I've obviously neglected my squats too long. 120-pound difference between the two. What would your approach be if you had this discrepancy but still wanted to keep deadlifts in your work? My first remark would be 120-pound difference may or may not be a huge discrepancy, depending how strong you are at those lifts, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I mean, and just looking at his picture that we had, he looked, at least compared to the woman he's with in the picture, he looks like a pretty tall guy, right? Okay, and so, Gimli the dwarf like me is going to be a squat machine and struggle with the deadlift, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Strider like Pat over there, right? It probably struggles with the squat and can pull a lot of weight.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. And so when I was powerlifting, my squat was always 100 pounds ahead of my deadlift. right? And that wasn't anomalous given my build. But always knew lots of guys, who I'd be like neck and neck with in the squat and the bench, feeling good, and then it gets into the meet and they pull 100 pounds when I squatted and beat me, right? So I don't think 120 pounds is a worry there.
Yeah. So Dave, if you want to give us a little bit more info, we could comment further, but initially maybe not a huge concern.
And also, if you come to the conclusion that they're out of line in that way, the idea of stopping squatting so my deadlift can catch up, I don't know that that's the best way to do it, because you're saying I'm basically going to get weaker in the squat, so they can meet in the middle. I think you just address the deadlift.
Jeff says, do you prefer kettlebell front squats to goblet squats? That's a really good question. I said front squats in my sort of 5 exercise program. I want to say if I had to choose what I'm taking to the desert island, it would probably be the front squat, because then it means I can at least take 2 kettlebells.
I think the goblet squats are great to teach someone how to squat. Right. So for a novice, definitely the goblet. Okay. For the front squat though, once you know what you're doing and you're strong, you can load a lot more on those double front squats than you will on a goblet squat. And moreover, I like on the double front squat, what I have to do with my upper back to keep that all in place, to keep from dumping those kettlebells.
Yeah, you get that heavy rack hold.
Yeah. You should be doing that with a goblet too. Okay. But you can get away without doing it. Okay.
Yeah.
Whereas on a heavy double front squat with kettlebells, if that's not aligned perfectly, they're coming down.
Right.
And that's real. You're working some really good stuff in your upper back there. So ultimately, I would want to get somebody to double front squats.
Yeah, I agree. In terms of just load consideration, especially if I'm not doing the barbell and I still want to go, like a beast squat, it's not that heavy, right? Now the front squat's interesting because it is a different beast than even barbell front squats. It is the way the weight is more in front of you. You kind of have to wrestle it. You have to have that anaconda strength that Dan John says. So even if you have a very strong barbell front squat, don't expect that strength to carry over directly to kettlebells.
You got to clean those things up there.
So So I mean, it's all context dependent, right? It depends what I'm doing, but if I'm really focusing on strength and muscle, I'm going to go front squat. David says, when talking about carries, loaded carries, are we just talking about farmer's carry, or are there more benefits for overhead carrying, or would you just mix it up?
Mix it up. Yeah. I like overhead static stuff, right? I think it's a very good bang for the buck, whether you're doing a get up, whether you're doing overhead squat, whether you're doing a carry. I like that a lot. It teaches you how to align your shoulder really well. And if you have shoulder issues, it's static, so you're not pushing against that. So I like overhead carrying. I think Dan's a big fan of it too, right?
Here, what do I like for carries? Overhead, usually single overhead. I don't really ever do the double overhead stuff. Single overhead carries, single or double rack carries. These are the ones that I think are quite overlooked, but hugely beneficial. And you can just do put 2 heavy kettlebells in the rack and then just walk in a square, like in a boxer stance. 2 steps forward, left, backwards, right. Like just draw the square, or triangles if you want to practice your geometrical figures. Single arm suitcase carry, double arm farmer's carry. So single or double for pretty much all of those. I almost only do single for the overhead stuff. For the carry. So yes, mix it up for sure. All right, next one is it possible to get a good leg workout, both for strength and hypertrophy, just by doing swings and kettlebell squats? I cannot do barbell training nor hill sprints.
Yes. Yeah.
Totally.
Swings,
Absolutely.
Especially if you have a heavy kettlebells available, right? And if you're looking, if it's a strength thing, how heavy a kettlebell is available will have a lot to do with that, right? But yeah, definitely. I mean, swings and squats, you don't need to do anything more than that.
If you're going to do mixed modality with just kettlebells and bodyweight, Jim, what would that look like for you?
For conditioning, for strength.
Let's go. Yeah, let's go the 5 exercises again. Push, pull, hinge, squat, carry. Just kettlebells and bodyweight.
I like the 1-arm push-up. for a pure upper body strength for a push, right?
Yeah.
Or the press, but we'll change it up. We'll go one arm push.
Sure,
up,
sure.
right?
Just give some options.
Gosh, it's tough not to just say kettlebell for all of them then, but because I don't
just eliminate body weight.
You definitely have to have your swing and snatch in there for the hinge, because the hinge on body weight is an issue.
It's a huge limiter. It's hard to get a good hinge. You could do you can do some fancy stuff with what's that exercise called? I forget, where you lock your feet onto something and you lower your upper body down.
Glute ham raise. Glute ham raise.
Yeah.
I used to do a lot of those when I was powerlifting. But generally, the hinge would definitely be your swing or your snatch. Squat wise, I can do pistols, right? But I've never got them to feel very good on my knees. And so I would stay from pistols. But in terms of like, because remember, you don't have to load every lift, right? Okay, you have to work every movement pattern. We have to load every lift. Just getting to where you can do really, really good, technically correct body weight squats, I think is something people skip over quite a bit, right? So on just kettlebells, and so I'd swing heavy, get your lower body stimulated that way. And I might focus on getting to where you can do 30, 40, 50 really technically perfect body weight squats on that, right? And then go, because very few people, like even who train, can do that, right? And then go one arm push up for your upper body push, right? And then of course the pull up for your upper body pull.
Yeah. I might in that instance just assign the upper body stuff to the body weight and the lower body stuff to the kettlebell.
I like that. Yeah. Easier to load the upper body with the body. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So push-ups, one arm push-ups, dips. I'll count that as body weight. Handstand push-ups, pull-ups, chin-ups, one arm. I don't really like the one arm chin-up and pull-up anymore. Rows. Yeah. So body weight is really good app for upper body strength, and then just use the kettlebell for your lower body squats. But I love your suggestion about the body weight squat. That is a great one.
Yeah.
Swings, carries, rack holds. And then also for body weight, if you're not doing leg raises and hollow holds, you are missing out. Leg raises, hollow holds, and ab wheels. Yeah. To me, those are three things you need in your direct core training.
Yeah, I agree. And especially for a jiu-jitsu person, like you've got to be able to get your butt off the ground,
right,
and keep it there. Yeah.
Aaron wants to know, have you noticed an indirect improvement to your overhead press as a result of club mace training? That one's definitely for you, Jim.
I haven't seen the number move radically in terms of how much I can press, right? And because I'm probably about there, what I can do genetically, right? But in terms of how I feel pressing and, how my shoulders feel, and some popping that's not there anymore, and some clicking that's not there anymore, and just a general smoothness of the shoulder, I've definitely seen that come with the clubs, the maces.
And that's not insignificant. I wish people would appreciate that more. Is that for me, if everything else is the same, but the movement just feels better, that's a PR.
Yep.
That's an important PR, right? If like, okay, maybe I did this other thing and I'm not pressing any more weight or I'm not pressing any more speed, but like now it doesn't click, it doesn't hurt, it doesn't pop, right?
Yeah. And you're going to get a point where you are as strong as you can get. Like there's, this idea of limitless progress, right? Or at the very least, you're going to start getting older, and you're. Right?
And even before that, there should be a point where you're as strong as you generally need to be, right?
Yeah, as strong as you. Yeah, and and I know stronger. All things being equal, stronger is better, but not all things are equal, right? And at a certain point, you're going to get upside down on the injury opportunity to actual gain of strength, or actual achievement opportunity is going to get upside down to the risk, right? And so at some point, I think you're going to say, I'm probably strong enough for what I'm trying to get out of this. And now what, right? Something else, right? Get better at what I'm doing, right? Yeah.
So where do you, how do you make those calls with relation to jiu-jitsu at this point?
Yeah. I mean, for me, I am, gosh, I don't want to be a trick. I'm a pretty strong guy. Okay. And so
it's true. It's true.
Yeah, okay. So I can overpower more people than I can beat with my skill. Okay. And so for me, that's, as I'm strong enough. I don't need to work on getting stronger. I need to work on staying strong, because it's healthy to be strong. Right. and it's helpful in jiu-jitsu to be strong in ways that people don't quite understand, but it is helpful to be.
Well, let me give you a story on that, right? So when I was training, I haven't trained jiu-jitsu since college, but I was like super into it in high school with Taekwondo, and I'll never forget, man. Like, there was an instructor we had. He was, good technician. I think he was a blue belt or whatever. So he wasn't bad. Had a number of years of experience, but he was super weak and super skinny, right?
Yeah.
And some guy walks into the gym who's just a monster.
Yeah.
He's got no experience in jiu-jitsu, rolls with this guy, just takes his wrists, pins him to the ground.
Yeah.
And the dude couldn't do anything. So pure strength, like it can make a difference. His technique did not matter at that point. This dude just physically, purely manhandled that dude. Yeah. That like all whatever training you had at that point, you were just so overpowered. And now this guy was also just so much bigger than him. Yeah. But I mean, with that, so much
jiu-jitsu is not magic, right? It's not magic. And so if an NFL tackle walked in the room right now and asked me for $5, I would say, yes, sir, here's your $5. Okay. Okay. Because there's not, even with my jiu-jitsu, there's not much I could do about that. Okay. And now, of course, I'm just a purple belt, but I think even a BJJ black belt my size would have some worries about an NFL tackle, that kind of physical specimen. Right now, does skill, lower the gap? Yes, it does, but it doesn't solve everything, right? I mean, you just, some 6'7", 300-pound guy hits you in the top of the head, you're done, right? Okay. But thinking in more plausible scenarios, if you have two equally skilled people facing each other, who wins? Well, the stronger one's going to win, or the more endurant one's going to win. So that pays, right? And also, for me with my jiu-jitsu training for strength is, I have found stuff like my rotational strength is where I needed to get stronger, right? My static strength was where I needed to get stronger, right? My strength from weird angles, right, is where I needed to get stronger. Okay. So I discovered very early on in jiu-jitsu that, I was strong enough from a deadlift standpoint, far stronger than I needed to be, far stronger than would help me. Okay. But I was not very good rotationally, right? I was not very good at pulling across my body and things like that. Okay. Right. And so that's changed how I train. I mean, that's why I'm like, obsessed with the Turkish get up, right? I use clubs and things like that. Right. And it makes a difference both in performance and in injury too. Yeah.
I have a question from email here. This comes from Stevie. I told him we'd take this up. He says, sure. I have what they call forward shoulders or boxer shoulders. Any tips on exercises that would be beneficial towards helping that issue? Also, any ideas on training the lower back? What do we have for him here, Jim?
Let me take the lower back thing first.
Sure.
This was one of the, okay. So I have 3 stress fractures in my 5th lumbar vertebrae. Okay, that I got playing football, and gave me horrid problems in my 20s into my early 30s. Okay, and that didn't really start getting better until I started doing swings, right? And then worked back into deadlifting, lost some weights, and then started deadlifting and stuff like that. Okay. And so the point I'm making on this is we can't be afraid to work our lower back. And I think a lot of, kind of the fitness myths out there is that, lift with your legs, not with your back. Right. And I remember in, high school, being taught to avoid taxing the lower back in any way, shape, or form in the weight room. Right. Okay. And you were taught to deadlift as if you were squatting. Right. And now I realize that's a terrible idea. Right. And so I think just an approach and answer how to work the lower back is, do note you should work your lower back. The lower back needs to be worked. Right. And I think this is one of the great things that the whole kettlebell movement has kind of foisted on the American fitness.
Absolutely.
Yeah, is the back side of the body, the hamstrings, the glutes, the lower back, up into the lats. That really is a key thing, especially for primates who spend most of their time sitting, right? We need, and slouching, we need to work that. Okay. So so to the gentle listener there, please, you're asking the right questions. How do you work the lower back? Okay, now, what should you do? Kettlebell swing. Best thing to work your lower back. Kettlebell swing. Kettlebell swing.
Yeah.
Master the swing and then worry about something else. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, as for the boxer shoulders, right? Most people can probably picture that in the boxer stance. First thing I would say is, this is cliche advice, but it does tend to be useful. It's like 2-to-1 pulling to pushing in your training for a while, right? 2-to-1, 2-to-1. However many pushes you're doing, you got to do double the pulls, rows, face pulls, all that sort of thing. You know, let's really kind of try to build up the back and posture muscles there. Another thing that helped me for a while, I don't do it much anymore, but when I was doing a lot of pushing and noticed some imbalance issues is, exaggerate the mistake. You can get an elastic band. I don't know if there's a name for this exercise. Crisscross it across your chest, so it's pulling your shoulders forward, like pulling you into that position, and then it forces you to, put the shoulders on the shelf and open back up. And then, like, shoot, man, you could just wear that.
Right.
Just wear that for a while, man. Right.
Do you want to get better or not? If you do, you'll do it.
Yeah. So that would be my advice for that. And
also, going back to our friend, the double kettlebell front squat, if you're going to do those right, you got to get those scaps engaged and back. Yeah.
Yeah. My wife on my YouTube channel actually has a video of her showing that band exercise. So she used that too. I mean, just years of when she used to work in corporate America, of being at the computer. It's an issue. It's an issue we all have. I'm trying to stand up more at the podcast. I was going to podcast outside today, but unfortunately I have a giant train that goes through my backyard. So would just totally ruin our day.
I'm lucky with the teaching. So, I'll have 3-4 hours a day where I'm standing on my feet.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah, I'm going to get the full standing set up here at some point, because sitting kills you, man. It does. Mm-hmm.
On the back issue too is I have some that I've been helping out lately, who swings for no go for him, right? He was having problems with swings, and I just, because of having some pretty bad back trouble, and I got him on just deadlifting a kettlebell, and a light kettlebell, like a 35-pound kettlebell, and that has made a difference for this guy. It has really made a difference for him. Yeah.
Perfect. Skinny Buddha says, you mentioned halo holds. Excuse my ignorance, but what are these? No apologies necessary.
Yeah.
Good question. Halos are... All right, I understand not everybody's going to be watching, so I'll just explain it quickly. I have these on my YouTube channel, so if you just YouTube it, you'll find me doing them. But you're going to hold a kettlebell upside down by the horn, so it's in front of your face. Then what you're going to do is you're going to pop your elbows up, bring the kettlebell around your head, back into the front position. So the key here is to get the kettlebell as low as it can go, those elbows all the way up, and to make sure that the kettlebell is going around your head, not the head around the kettlebell, right? So not a neck exercise. It's a shoulder mobility exercise. Great in and of itself, but also just kind of like a no-brainer in terms of warm-up too.
Yeah. I like sometimes to take a kettlebell, go into a deep squat to pick it up, curl it, finish the squat, and then come over, each way, put it back down.
That's a beautiful combo.
That deep squat and curling it up into it, and then right. Take it easy on the way, because your back's going to get in a weird spot.
Yeah, like a 12-16 kilogram would be all you would need for something like that. So deep squat, I love it. Curl it up so you get the great hip mobility, you get the core activation, because that kettlebell just kind of being in front of you just makes you posture up. Yep. Hit the halo at the top. I love it. That's a killer combo. We'll call that do we have a name for that?
The killer combo.
The killer combo. We'll have to do a video of the killer combo.
Yeah, we'll do a video of it, yeah.
All right, 1 or 2 more here, guys. These are great questions, so really appreciate you tuning in. Aaron says, thanks, appreciate all y'all are doing. We appreciate you guys.
We appreciate you guys, yeah.
Yeah, we do. This is a lot of fun. I'm enjoying these streams, so thanks for being here. David says, I've read that eccentric movement is more beneficial than concentric movement as you suffer less injuries and overall strength increases. What are your thoughts on that?
I haven't played with them very much, so I don't really have a view on it, right?
Yeah, so real quick, just for the gentle listeners, the eccentric movement is typically referring to the downward portion of the movement. So if you're doing a dip, it'd be when you're lowering yourself. If you're doing a pull-up, it'd be when you're lowering yourself. If for the barbell, it'd be when you're lowering the bar. The concentric movement, of course, is when would be pushing yourself up, pulling yourself up, raising the weight, etc., like that. I feel like there has been a recent study on this that challenged some conventional wisdom, but I will say generally, here's what you should keep in mind. The previous conventional wisdom was that focusing on eccentrics may be more useful for hypertrophy, but I feel like there was an article that came out recently that challenged that. But even if that's the case, to me it's an obvious both and, right? I see people who skip the concentrics. I think that's not smart. I think there's a lot of value in concentric training. I see people who skip the eccentrics. I think that's not smart. I think there's a lot of value in eccentric training, and I think there's a lot of value also in mixed tempo training, which we've talked about before. Changing the tempo either during the concentric or the eccentric, either of those or both of those. So to me, this is definitely a both and. People sometimes I actually would hesitate to say that there might be less injuries with the eccentric, and sometimes I think there could be more injuries because people tend to overload the eccentrics. That's one of the reasons eccentric training became popular, is because you can lower more weight than you can rise up. So people would tend to overload that and get away with more, and then actually get injured more because of that.
And look really cool in the gym, right?
Yeah. So I don't know statistically if that's the case. I don't know if there's ever been a study on that, but that's certainly anecdotally that has been true in my experience, where people will realize, oh, well, look, I can overload with eccentric, so I'll just do a ton of overloading exercises and then end up jacking themselves up. My general rule is if you can't pick it up, you probably shouldn't be lowering it.
Yeah, that's a rule I like. Yeah. I've kind of gotten into the eccentric phase of lifts but for different reasons lately. So I noticed a lot of times when I was pressing, I was just kind of letting that thing fall, the kettlebell fall back into the rack position.
Yes.
And it got me thinking that's really bad. Like that's how to get hurt.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Same with deadlifts. People just kind of like drop the bar and
yeah. And so now, just using the press as an example, is one of my cues, if you can't own the trip down, you shouldn't be pushing it up there.
Yes.
So I'm making sure I'm really controlling and thinking about the path too. If I can hurt myself with a bad path on the way up, I would presume I can hurt myself with a bad path on the way down.
Totally.
Right?
Totally.
Yeah. And we've talked about off air, just playing around with the different, rates on Turkish get-ups. Right.
Right.
And I've been, on Saturday at the end of my medley, I went back down just to a 24 kilogram kettlebell for some get-ups. And I did 2 reps on each side of get-ups as slow as I could go.
Yeah. And
I tell you, the trip down going as slow as I could go just with a 24 kg was not a joke.
Yeah.
Not a joke at all. Yeah. Yeah.
Cindy brings up a good thing real quick. I wanted to address this because she says, I learned pull-ups and push-ups by focusing on the eccentrics initially. So I'm glad you brought this up because I do think there is a place for intelligent use of eccentrics in progressions. And I think body weight training is the best place for this. I really hesitate when you're bringing in some type of external resistance for the reason that I just said. So if you can't already do a pull-up or you can't already do a push-up, work using isometrics, partial reps, and eccentrics can be good progressions. I would just say still be careful with the amount of volume and stuff you're taking on because you're in some sense working past your capacity and you can easily overload and just do a little bit more than you probably want to from that type of stuff.
This may cause controversy. It's an age-old controversy in the strength world. Yeah. But this is why, although I don't oppose using weightlifting belts for barbell lifts, I think it's one of the considerations against it. Because if you're using a belt, you're essentially going to say, I'm going to undertake a load that I know my body could not handle, right? Under normal conditions, right? And if you're a powerlifter or something, maybe that's just what you have to do. I've done it, right? But as a general practice, is it a good idea for me to accept loads that I know structurally my body cannot handle under its own steam? I worry about that. And I think you get a similar thing with an eccentric. Like I'm saying, I'm going to get under this, just say I'm doing eccentric, with a heavy kettlebell press, right? I'm admitting like I can't really handle this weight, right? But I'm going to get myself under it. That seems to me like a recipe for disaster, right?
Yeah. So for me, my approach with eccentrics for progressions is it's targeted, it's limited, it's got to be intelligent. But if you're just doing it because, I just know I can use more weight all the time with this, I think you're asking for trouble, right? 100%.
And now, I'm thinking, what's his name? It's one of the old powerlifting gurus. I know guys got really strong doing this. Okay. because yeah, you get in a sport, you take risks for that sport, right? But for kind of the generalist, I would not take a risk with this. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Good stuff. All right, we're at about an hour here, Jim. So
Cool.
before we
Excellent.
wrap up, yeah, this is a blast. Guys,
Yeah.
thanks for tuning in. Again, the likes, the shares, the subscribes, the overly fawny, gushy, gooey reviews are deeply appreciated.
We love the really gooey stuff. We like.
Yeah,
Fawn.
yeah,
Fawn.
flattery will get you everywhere with us.
You will not embarrass either Pat or I. You will not. We will believe it. We really will.
Yeah. So what's coming up on your end? How you doing with your book projects and anything you want to announce?
I am lecturing at Ashland University on Thursday evening on artificial intelligence.
Beautiful.
So yeah, so there'll be at some point a TI audio of that. Okay. The title of the lecture is "The Anxiety of Not Being a Machine and Giving a Damn About It." So,
oh, that sounds cool.
Yeah, it's fun. And then other than that, my boy comes home next week, so I'm excited about that. So,
very cool.
Yeah. Have a good Easter. How about you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What am I doing? First off, Cindy says, love you guys. Yeah, we love you too. We love all you guys. Thank you so much for being here. What do I have this week? It's a pretty light week, actually. So people will probably be bothered by how much they see my face on the social media. Last week was pretty light, so we're gonna overcompensate this week.
Yeah, come back.
Yeah, got a few writing things to finish, nothing too interesting, and then business as usual here at the Flynn household. So weather's beautiful though, so I'm really looking forward to getting and bringing my training outside these next couple of days.
Did you work out today yet?
Not yet. Yeah, no, I went outside and sipped some coffee and thought about doing a walk, but then life happened. So I got to go do that actually probably right now. So yeah, good stuff. All right, gentle listeners, thank you for tuning in. We will catch you next time. We're going to close with a video that I think you will all enjoy. Fare thee well.